Hey guys, and welcome back to another monthly wrap up as well as a TBR pick. And I have mixed feelings about June. June was kind of an unexpected reading month. I picked 4 books to read at the beginning of this month, full well knowing that I would most likely read more. I read none of those books, and I'm a little embarrassed about it because they were 4 really good ones, but they were just not what I was interested in reading this month, apparently. So, we can start with talking about the books that I did read, and then pick a couple for next month, and go from there. Let's call it 2.5 physical books that I read this month were 2 books in a vlog that I hope will someday see the light of day. We'll see. Honestly, I'm not sure. It kind of petered out. I was in a really bad reading slump towards the beginning to like mid-June, and the only thing that pulled me out of it was reading a couple of, shall I say, published fan fictions, it felt like, but we can talk about those a little bit later on. So the first book that I read this month was Funny Story by Emily Henry, and I loved this book. This was a 5-star read for me. I so enjoyed it. I had such a good time. I loved the characters. This has been all over BookTube and the internet. It came out a couple of months ago, so it's kind of like I feel like it's the new hit thing. And just like Daphne and what was his name? Mitch? Miles? Miles. So Daphne and Miles were just such a cute couple. It's not like my favorite Emily Henry book, but it was a really cute summer love story. I always like that her books seem to follow like the literary scene in some aspect, and in this one, Daphne is a librarian, and she specifically a children's librarian, and is planning this big event that's kind of like a subplot to the whole story. I really liked it. The synopsis of this is that both Daphne and Miles are dumped by their respective significant others. In Daphne's case, her fiance, in Miles' case, his girlfriend, and those two who did the dumping ran off together, leaving Daphne and Miles just heartbroken and confused and not really sure what to do with their lives. So they become roommates. It's got a forced proximity trope. It's got fake dating. It's just a really, it's just kind of a fun, like, oops, we fell in love story in a lot of different ways, actually. So it's just a fun summer read. So I have not yet read Happy Place by Emily Henry, but I think this is going to end up on July's TBR just because her books are all just so good. So I might just, I gotta keep them going. Like, why say no, you know? So there we go. Book 1 of July, Emily Henry, Happy Place, to follow Funny Story, because of course it got me back into the Emily Henry mood. The next book that I read was Bride by Ali Hazelwood, and this was just okay. Honestly, it didn't have like the spark that I kind of look for or expect in Ali Hazelwood's writing. I get what she was trying to do, but I feel like if you're gonna do like a vampire werewolves Omegaverse thing, you just gotta like commit to it. And this was just like a watered down version. And I say that, I realize, as someone who reads paranormal romance on a pretty regular basis, reads some really weird paranormal romance on a pretty regular basis, and was also on Tumblr in like the years where it was unavoidable to read or to have Omegaverse fanfics just kind of like splashed across your feed. So yeah, this was probably not bad. I could see where it could be shocking to people who aren't normally in that sort of subgenre, but for someone who I guess is widely read in paranormal romance, it's nothing new. So I think I gave this, I wrote down a 3.5 out of 3.5 to 4. I'm really leaning towards the 3.5 because it was a good... I felt like almost like the paranormal aspects weren't... like, there's a way to weave them into a story in which they contribute to the story. This felt like it was a romance, like a mob romance that just got turned into a paranormal, like a, you know, the families were against each other, but they never really said why or what was going on. Like, there was no actual, like, stakes or conflict really in it that I can remember. So if it happened, it really wasn't worth thinking about. Yeah, I don't know. It was okay. I like her STEM romances a lot better. So take that for what it is, I suppose. And then finally, the book that kicked off the video concept of a recent release vlog that still has not finished was A Tempest of Tea. I took this out from the library. It really has not been that long, and as far as I know, there's no one requesting or putting a hold on it. So I'm 70 pages-ish in so far, and much like my review of Dragonfall by L.R. Lamb, Tempest of Tea by Hafsa Faizal, I'm hoping I'm saying her name right, it's a paranormal, like, urban fantasy heist, and what I'm discovering about myself is that heist books are just not really for me. I get really excited about the synopsis and the concept, and then as I read them, lose interest. And that's kind of where I'm at with this book. There's nothing wrong with the writing, there is nothing wrong with the characters or the plot or anything. I guess I just am not interested in heists, and I'm learning that about myself. That said, this seems like a very cool, like, kind of YA gritty paranormal world. I like the world building aspects of it so far. It does kind of slap you in the face by telling you that the main character, like, hates colonialism and is fighting back against the powers that be, you know, is really kind of out for herself, and if she can bleed the oppressors dry, she will. And I wish there would be more showing than telling, but it's a YA, so I get why it's kind of like a little bit more forefront in the way that maybe if it was an adult story, it wouldn't be, you know? But so far, it's fine, and I haven't quite given up on it, even though I gotta say I did kind of lose interest. And that brings me to the rest of this month, which has been a lot of library reading, and I will preface this by saying that my real goal this year has been to read from my shelf or to read books that I am not purchasing individually. So by that I mean using my Kindle Unlimited subscription, using Libby, using my local library. And I'm sticking to that, even though I'm very clearly not reading my June TBR. So the next book I read was Stalking Jack the Ripper, which is, I believe, Carrie Maniscalco's debut novel. She also wrote the Kingdom of the Wicked series. So Stalking Jack the Ripper is set in Victorian London. Our main heroine is studying the forensic scientists, which involve doing a lot of postmortems on cadavers of perhaps questionable origins, and she becomes entangled in the Jack the Ripper case, and it follows her journey through that. It's actually the beginning of a series. I really liked it. It gives me strong, the Veronica Speedwell mystery series vibes, which I'm finding is kind of my niche. It's just easy reading. It's easy, fun, good time reading. I think I like Diana Raybourn's writing in the Veronica Speedwell series a bit better. I thought the dynamic between the heroine and the, I guess, sidekick guy is a bit different in the two series. So like in the Veronica Speedwell series, it takes Veronica and Stoker quite a while to figure out that they really do like love each other and fall in love and whatever. And in Carrie Maniscalco's series, I gotta figure out if there's actually like a series title for that, but in her series, it seems like it's very obvious that the guy fell first, which is kind of refreshing. I mean, it's kind of funny that our main heroine, Audrey Rose, is just ignores his professions of love. Just completely ignores them. Like, oh, what is that? The wind blowing? You've told me that I am the only woman in the world for you? Oh, the wind is so loud today. Which is to me really funny, but I could see where it could annoy people, you know? So anyway, I picked up the next one in the series, Hunting Prince Dracula, and I'm gonna add that one to my July TBR. I'm not showing you because it is currently functioning as the step prop for you guys right now. But I do have it from the library. The next book that I read in June was A Botanist's Guide to Flowers and Fatality. This is book 2 in following A Botanist's Guide to Parties and Poisons. Poisons and Parties. I don't know. Anyway, this is very similar. I have like a subgenre that I am just diving headfirst into right now. So this is also kind of a cozy mystery, strong female heroine set in the 20s. She's an academic, a botanist, and kind of makes her way through all of the prejudices of academia. She's trying to kind of keep her foot in the door, and she gets very entangled in crimes, well, in investigating crimes in different manners of speaking. I think that protagonist more than Carrie Maniscalco's Audrey Rose. Our main gal is Saffron Everly, and she is investigating different murders. So this is book 2. She is incredibly smart. She's very persistent, but also like very world-wise now to like the different pressures that it takes to be a woman in academia. She is like accused of like sleeping her way to the top, of, you know, being shunned and ignored by her male coworkers, you know, just generally facing a lot of the sexist prejudices of the day, which I think gives it a bit more of an air of that I like. So it's kind of attacking the genre from an angle that I hadn't quite seen in either Veronica Speedwell or the Carrie Maniscalco Stalking Jack the Ripper series thus far. Although both of them do sort of address the fact that like respectable women did not investigate murders. But I feel like they get like passes because they're given like privileged positions in life where Saffron Everly does not have that. So yeah, I guess I'm falling in love with the like historical mystery, cozy fantasy fictions lately. And I'm just like, let's do 3 different series that all have very similar themes, concepts, whatever, until I get sick of it, because I'm sure that that'll happen eventually. So I picked up the next one, which will also be on my July TBR, which is A Botanist's Guide to Society and Secrets. Again, got that from the library. Pretty thrilled about that because that just came out at the end of June. So like literally, library got it and I got it. I'm 95% certain that I'm the first person to check this book out, and I'm pumped. The next stack of books I found on Kindle Unlimited, and I'm just going to preface this by saying that I tend to just, if I read a book in a series and I go, I like this, I will want to binge the entire series in order. Like, I am not someone who can just be like, I love this, put it down and say like, oh, there's 4 more books out, but we're not going to read them right now. Like, no, I will want to read the next one, and then I will want to read the next one, and that means like not sleeping or eating or whatever for like 4 days, then that's what I'm gonna do. Get very like fixated on this. So what has happened is I fell back in love with the Nevermore mystery series by Stephanie Holmes. So the Nevermore bookshop mystery series. Again, cozy fantasy, set in present day, but has paranormal like fantasy elements to it, in that it's a like haunted or like magical bookshop where literary characters come to life, and our main heroine is accompanied and eventually falls in love with three different like villains or bad boys of literature. So we have Moriarty from Sherlock Holmes, we have Heathcliff from Wuthering Heights, and the Raven from The Raven. And it is a why choose reverse harem romance that, as the series progresses, becomes more central. But I don't know. You could probably skip the steamy parts, and well, I know you can skip the steamy parts. There aren't many. There's normally like one, maybe two scenes per book, and really, like, if you aren't comfortable with it, you could just skip them and still really enjoy the mystery. But if you don't like that kind of relationship, this book series is not for you. So I read Memoirs of a Garrotter, Pros and Cons, and a novel, Way to Die, and have just started Much Ado About Murder as well. Put it on hold because some of these other library books I'm trying to prioritize so I can get them back into the hands of my fellow library goers. And finally, the book series that seems to have like really caught my fixation and is new to me this month would be the Shadow Beast Shifter series. Shadow Beast Shifters is by Jamin Eve. It has like 5 or 6 different books in it. I have read Rejected, Reclaimed, Reborn. I'm on book 4, which is Deserted. And the way, I think this is an interesting setup. Like, the way that the series is set is that the first 3 books follow like the main couple, and then it seems like each book that after that, 4, 5, and 6, are going to follow like one of the other side characters' romances. Here's the thing. These are not the world's best books. They are not high literature. But they speak to the 13 to 16-year-old me who would have absolutely eaten this up. It is like highly polished, published fan fiction. And I say that as someone who like loves fan fiction, and has a great deal of respect for people who write fan fiction, especially write it well. Here's the thing. I say that it's polished fan fiction because a lot of the tropes, a lot of the way that things are written and described are very similar to the way that a fan fiction author would write and describe something. Also, like, our main character is constantly like referring to her friends as like badasses and like strong women who are also like sensitive and tough, and just, you know, it's a very much like insta-lovey, you know, all of my friends are always like the most powerful beings in whatever world that they are in, you know, type thing. It's just a lot of the tropes are very present in fan fiction or in like high school writing. Like, if you're, I don't know, like, I was a nerd, so in high school, like, I would write these kind of things, and this is exactly the kind of book that I would have put together as a nerd in high school. But it's just fun. It's just a fun read. It's kind of like I only have one brain cell left at the end of the day. Let me read something easy that's kind of dumb and like, but like still really good. I don't know. I'm probably not selling this book to anybody out there, but that's okay. It has a ridiculous amount of reviews on Kindle, like an absolutely ridiculous. It's a 4.2 on Goodreads with 39,000 reviews. Like, these are popular books. And I get why. Like, they are, like I said, they're not good, but they're just fun. Like, it's kind of like insane, like, not a train wreck, because that's not right, but it's like, it's just so, it's like popcorn. It's like popcorn reading at its finest, where like nothing too serious happens. Well, like everything, like the world's ending, right? Like the world is literally ending, but you know, just by virtue of how this story is written, that everything is going to work out, because of course it will, because all of these people are the most badass, most powerful, most, you know, grumpy sunshine people ever. And like, it's all gonna work out for them. You know what I mean? Anyway, I'm currently obsessed in a, like, this is great for like head empty, no thoughts reading. So I will continue to read them. I am maybe 30% into Deserted, and if I'm being honest, I'm more excited about reading Deserted than I was the next, like, books 2 and 3 in the series. I just feel like the characters that we center on in Deserted are two of the more interesting characters. They have what seems to be like a second chance romance kind of starting, or a like childhood best friends to romance thing going on, which I always kind of enjoy, instead of like the fated mates shifters romance. I think we've finally moved past that, thank God. That was all of June's reading. So that is what, 10 books this month? Not bad, considering that for like most of the middle of the month I was reading nothing. So I'm still really happy with this reading month. I found some new books. I'm going from there. So let's pick July's reads. Now, I have a feeling the mood reading Kindle thing is going to continue, especially because 4th of July is coming up and we are going out of town, so I'm going to try to cut down on just the physical books that I have to bring with me. So, can't speak to that too much, although I do have A Botanist's Guide to A Botanist's Guide to Society and Secrets on Libby checked out, or on hold. I think I have it on hold. I did get really lucky, and on like the Libby lucky day, was able to check out One Dark Window. So that will probably be the next one read, because I do have to return that, I think, on the 4th of July. Then, as I said, A Botanist's Guide to Society and Secrets, Hunting Prince Dracula, which is book 2 after Stalking Jack the Ripper. I just put Happy Place on the TBR as a fun summer read. I believe this is another like second chance romance where like two people who'd been dating for a long time broke up in secret. Now they're going to see all their friends who they haven't told, and they're like, we're just gonna pretend that this never happened and go from there. I want to finish A Tempest of Tea. Hopefully I can bring myself around to doing that. And then 2 other library books, one of which is also functioning as a book stand, right, or a camera stand right now, is An Unexpected Peril, which is my next book in the Veronica Speedwell mystery series. And I also managed to pick up The Bone Shard Daughter by Andrea Stewart. This is supposed to be a fantasy, I believe, trilogy that the kingdom or empire is ruled by bone shard magic. Only the king has this magic, but then his daughter learns the magic in order to overthrow her father and take the throne. So I just thought that sounded so interesting and so fun, so kind of felt like I needed a little high fantasy mixed in with my like kind of head empty, no thoughts summer reading. And finally, we'll return to some mysteries, but instead of historical cozy fantasies, historical cozy mysteries, I decided to pick up two classics, both by Agatha Christie. I have never read an Agatha Christie novel, and honestly, it made me chuckle that you can just tell that my library kind of functions off of donations, because like we have in the same section a mass market paperback and like a beautiful classics edition, hardcover edition. So I picked up Murder on the Orient Express and Death on the Nile, the two probably most famous Agatha Christie novels, in part because I've been avoiding watching the movies so that nothing gets spoiled for me. So I want to finally read these so that I can watch the movies and appreciate them. So I think two Agatha Christie's are in the cards, and hopefully, I have no idea how many books I just put on my TBR for this month, but hopefully we'll get through them. Thanks for listening to my crazy ramble. As always, I hope the books that you are reading are treating you well, that you like them, and you find a 5-star read. I know I did this month, which is kind of crazy considering my kind of silly reading month. I hope everyone else is having a great summer. Hope your reading's treating you well, and I will see you in the next one.